Holy Wire Mod.
Holy Wire Mod here. This is going to be tutorial 13D in the Lewis series, where we're going to continue with VGUI elements, and we're going to be going over column sheet and a method of positioning your elements called docking. So let's start by actually making a new main panel, because with docking, and I'll explain why, there's going to be some issues in the future, but just trust me on this. We'll make a new panel and call it VGUI create. So we call it dPanel, and we're going to parent it to self. Now we're going to have main panel, and I'm going to control D to save a little bit of time. Now we're set position, and we're going to set it 3 pixels in and 35 down. Now I say 3 pixels because you remember there is a border created or outline created 2 pixels in, so 3 pixels, we'll set it 1 pixel more in, that's what we want, and 35 because the text size of the font is 30, which we use for this label, so we got to put it about 35 pixels down for it to look right. Okay, next we're going to set the size, and that's going to be X, and remember X and Y here are the width and the height of the parent panel. Okay, and so doing that -6, which is 3 times 2, and we have Y minus the height position, which is 35, minus 3, which is going to account for the 3 pixels at the bottom for the bottom border right here. Okay, so next we want to paint it. So do paint, make a function. This should all be review. Unless you happen to skip a couple tutorials, then it's going to be new to you. Either way, it's okay. We'll take care of you. So then we're going to copy and paste from the draw library. So remember, we have the round edge, we have the position, the size, and here we're going to have the color, and we're going to set the color to 100, 100, 100 with an alpha of 100. Now the next thing we're going to be doing, and it'll make sense why I created this main panel, is we're doing a call sheet, or a column sheet, which is referenced in the wiki right here, VGUI elements, and right here we have a column sheet, which is similar to a D property sheet, which means if you can do this, you can do a D property sheet. Simple, easy peasy, right? So we say D column sheet, and we're going to parent that instead to main panel. And this is why. Because we're using a process, like I said, called docking. So when we dock something, there is an enumeration of dock called fill, and the enumerations can be found in this part of the wiki right here. So when we fill the entirety of the parent. So we don't want to fill the entirety of the parent panel, because then we're going to be covering up the close button right here and the label right here, and we don't want to do that. So I created this main panel, shifted it out the way on purpose so that we do not cover this, and we're filling main panel up instead because that is the parent. Alright, so if you still understand, I'm going to have a visual for you in just a second as soon as we get in game. So anyway, so we have the area that we're going to have the column sheet. Now we need to add sheets to the column sheet. So we're going to call this, actually we'll call it sheet 1, and we'll say VGUI create, and this is going to be nothing more than a panel, so dPanel, and we're going to parent that to call sheet. And so you're learning so much about parenting today. So we're going to have sheet 1, and let's do this. So sheet 1 is going to also dock, and that's going to fill as well. Alright, so it's going to fill the entirety of main panel. And then we're going to paint the sheet. Again, this is optional, but it just helps it look nice, and it should, again, be reviewed for you. So you're going to be really good at painting at the end of this tutorial, and parenting as well. So we're going to just copy and paste that, and instead of values of 10, I'll put values of 100, put values of 10, and keep the alpha at 100. And the last thing we need to do is to actually add this to the column sheet. So we use this command right here called AddSheet. We're going to title it Color Mixer, which is the first argument. The second argument is going to be what the sheet is. So we're going to be using this panel as the sheet. So we say sheet 1. And then the next one is going to be called a silk icon, right? So it's going to be an icon next to the tab for your sheet. So we have all these right here. Notice they're all PNG files. So we have except PNG. That seems good enough for me. So we're going to put icon16/except.png, and that's going to create the icon. Now, again, to save time, we just copy and paste this to make another sheet. And then we'll say sheet number 2, and put sheet 2, sheet 2, sheet 2. And instead here, we can get another icon. We can add an anchor. How about that? So say anchor.png. Now, remember from the last tutorial, we created the color mixer and the mix button. So I'm going to put all this into sheet 1. And to make it less confusing, I'm going to put it underneath sheet 1 to show that it is part of sheet 1. So now we set the parents from panel 1 to sheet 1. All right, or actually I believe it was self prior to. So we'll say sheet 1. Now, we don't need to center because I'm going to be showing you how to do it with the dock method. So we're going to use color mixer, and we're going to be using a different enumeration this time. That's going to be top. So docks to the top of the parent. Okay? So put top, and that's also going to spread it out throughout the entire top of the parent. So we need to actually limit how large it gets on the left and the right hand side of that. So to do that, we're going to have to add margin and padding. So let's say DockMargin, and we're going to set a margin of 15 units to the top. Actually, that's left, 15 to the left, 10 to the top, 15 to the bottom, and 10 to the right. Okay? I know it's kind of confusing format, but I'm going to repeat myself right here. So we're going to add padding now to the color mixer, and we're going to do 290 to the left, and this is going to shrink your color mixer, 10 to the top, 290 to the right, and 10 more to the bottom. So this one spaces out this color mixer from whatever's docked under it, which in this case is going to be the button. So we're going to get rid of these size and position. We don't need those for docking. I'm going to say dock, and again we're going to dock top. So notice I docked this second after docking this one. So that means that this one is going to be placed underneath this one. Okay, so you're going to have a button underneath the color mixer, just like it was in the prior tutorial. Now also, we're going to have to limit the size of the button, so we need to do DockMargin to edit the margins around it. And after testing this out, I found that 385 looks the best. You can try different values for yourself if you would like, but that seems to work for me. I like it, so we use it. So to throw this all together so it makes more sense to you, let's go in game and we'll check out what happens. Alright, so we are now in game. I'm going to press F4. As you can see, we have the menu set up. Actually, I'm going to go into the dark area so you can probably see it better. Alright, so there we have the menu. Now, as you can see, we have color mixer. These, I'm going to explain everything. So you have the gray area, this entire gray area, which is not black like the top. That is both the main panel filling in that area. Notice it's not going past any of the borders on the edges of the panel. That's because we kept it inside the lines with the 3, the -6, and this 3 as well. And on top of that, filling the entire main panel is the column sheet, which is the left-hand area with these buttons and the right-hand area with all this stuff. Now, under is this, which is responsible. Sheet 1 is responsible for the color mixer title with the check mark. And sheet 2 right here is responsible for this color mixer, which actually shouldn't even be called color mixer. I just put question marks there. And that'll update whenever I join next time. So yes, this one's the sheet 2. Now, inside of sheet 1, we have these. Remember, we parented the color mixer and the button in sheet 1. And notice that I docked this first and I docked this second, like this. And as it appears, the color mixer's on first on top in the center, and the button is right below it. So it follows this pattern, which you can look up in panel doc in the wiki, and it'll give you a nice example of how you can order your docs to give you the desired result that you want. So in this case, fill fills in the entire area, and top fills in the top area. Now the reason that the tops are different and the bottoms are different is because the order that they're put in right here. Okay, so anyway, getting back into the game, we now have everything set up, and we click the button. It works just like before. You make a rave break party, have fun, all that stuff. I'm going to show you what it's like when I don't add these margins. So I'm going to comment these out real quick and rejoin the game. Alright, so let's rejoin. And alrighty, so just rejoin the server, and as you can see, the question mark is now changed for this page, and the margins and padding were removed, and that's what it looks like when you remove the margins and the padding. So there's no more spacing between the button and the color mixer, and they are all stretched out. So that's why it's important to margin and pad. So anyway, if you have any more questions on this topic, please let me know, and I'll catch you with the next tutorial.